Hey, gang.
Hi,
All right.
guys.
We're trying to get this to go live. I got Kim Tolson at
Hi,
my
everybody.
house.
We just realized we're matching.
Look, we didn't even plan it. So I'm trying to convince Kim to stop being a traveling therapist so she can just live by me and we can work together all the time because
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot more done with her here. All right. So I wanted to, while I have her here, put her to work and answer some of your questions.
Yeah.
The first one, y'all just don't even know. I've been telling you that Kim is the person to learn about AI, and you're like, well, how will we use AI? Friends,
Let's talk about it.
get on board.
So I'm here helping Amber right now. We're working on creating your own GPTs and ChatGPT, right? And basically, this is a shortcut using AI to develop any type of like chatbot robot that you want to communicate with about a certain topic. So today we're building we have so many ideas. It's
So
crazy.
many.
We can't even.
But the first one that I got 20, but for the marketing intensive grads, I want Kim to help me build a ChatGPT that will look through your copy the same way I would look through your copy and give you the feedback that I would give you. So you don't have to pay $500 to have me look at it. We can just run it through an Amber-like AI bot.
Exactly.
To at least get like 75% of the goodies that you would get from me looking at it directly.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're working on that. I'm working on one that's helping me develop the portable practice method to help people basically put in, questions about, I'm going to put it in the course. It's going to be a GPT in the course that you can ask questions about regulations and how to handle certain situations and all of that just by training it on all the content we've already had in the Facebook group, the Traveling Therapist Facebook group.
So a quick question, sideways.
Yeah.
So the traveling therapist, Kim, if you don't already know Kim is a nomad. She's a digital nomad. She has no home except for the amazing Airbnbs that she and her partner rent and then like travel the freaking world. And she gets to work while she does it. So she teaches other therapists how you can legally, ethically, blah, 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 see clients while you're on the road and get paid through insurance companies, which feels like, I think for most of us, like, how will I even know if I'm allowed to do that with my license? How will I know if my liability provider will let me do that? What about my insurances that I bill? So she teaches all of that in, what's the name of the program?
Which one?
The traveling one.
Oh, it's called The Expert's Guide to Becoming a Traveling Therapist.
And how is that different than the course that you're building?
The Expert's Guide is basically a combination of Amber's in there. You did a marketing
I'm
one
like,
in
really?
there. Yeah, she's like, I
did?
What? So it's about 30 different guest experts around taxes and marketing and just licensing regulations. How to do different like retreats, how to bring in other income streams. So that's what it is. But the portable practice method is going to be a lot more directed to the person that's really starting out in the very beginning doing this stuff. So it's not going to be so general and just like everything. It's going to be more like these are the 3 steps basically, like licensing, and then how do I make money, and then how do I balance my life while I'm doing it.
Yeah. So it's going to be for therapists wanting to practice therapy, but also side hustles on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. Side hustles are easier on the road than therapy, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You don't have to worry
Who
about
wants to do therapy?
Licensing.
Just kidding. No.
Sometimes you're kidding and sometimes you're not.
Yeah.
Y'all, burnout is easier to beat when you have diversity in the way that you're bringing in income.
Exactly. I have like 4 clients that I still see, and the rest is just like side hustle. It's not even side hustle anymore. It's like my primary income.
Yeah. And ChatGPT, if used correctly, AI, I should say, if used correctly, can really help you build your side hustle quickly. But you have to be using it in the right ways.
Yeah.
There's a difference between generative AI and editorial AI and all of that shit. And Kim is the person who knows how to make AI work, like ethically and legally as a therapist, which I'm going to make her talk about in a second, and also like how to use it to help with your side hustle in a way that isn't just like your AI is your side hustle. Like it's still you, it's still your voice, it's still your messaging, it's still your brand, but you don't have to do quite so much of the work.
Yeah, it basically does everything for me now.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Because
So
I've traded in my own voice. So if you're a private practice owner, I do have a Facebook group called Run Your Private Practice with AI. It's a free group. But if you are a private practice owner, you would go into ChatGPT and create it all around your brand as a therapist. So what's my niche? Who am I trying to market to? Am I insurance based? Am I a private pay practitioner? What state do I live in? What other competition do I have in the state? Where do I have my directory profile? Am I on ZenCare? Am I on Psychology Today? What are their requirements for the profile? How many characters do you need? All of that. So you train it in all of that. And then anytime you need to access, a social media post or send an email or whatever, you go back to this GPT that you've created around all this branding. You put in a prompt and it writes it for you immediately. So there is some upfront work that you have to put into it, but then after that, it's like it does almost everything for you because it knows you now. It knows your specific voice and brand.
Yeah, I think the training it feels intimidating because you're like, I don't know how to train an AI. But Kim has taught me that you basically ask it, how do I train you in my voice? What are like the 10 questions that you need to understand my ideal client? And then it's going to ask you those 10 questions. It's incredible. It's incredible.
Exactly. And we were talking today about, there's sales copy, and then there's like, you can get it to go a lot deeper for you. So even being able to put stuff in around, I want you to identify the pain points of these clients that are in this specific, EMDR for, car trauma or something like that. It can identify like pain points for you to put on your Psychology Today profile and that sort of thing. But then you can say to it, now you've identified these, I want you to go even deeper with these pain points, and I want you to really get underneath even the surfacey pain points that you would think, and give me some how would you explain that?
Like a real life example.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which is what I'm always telling you guys you need to have on your website. Like you can't just say, are you suffering with anxiety and panic attacks? You have to get into the feels, and then you have to get into the examples. Like you're laying in bed at night and you can't stop thinking about whether or not you pissed off your boss when you made that comment in the staff meeting. You need those really concrete examples for people to relate to what you're saying. And sometimes we get a little bit stumped of how to come up with those, or we worry like, well, I don't want to say something my client said and then my client read the website. You can use AI to help you generate specific examples. It's I haven't talked to Kim about this, but I really feel like if you do not get on board with understanding how AI works, particularly around marketing, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
You're going to be in trouble, and I'm not saying that to fear monger, but you really do. They say all the time that you're not going to be replaced by AI, but you are going to be replaced by people who understand how to use AI. And I think that's true in every industry. Even like we have these notes parties to help therapists get caught up on notes. Well, now we have AI that will write the notes for you. So, we both are affiliates for Berries, and there are other, companies out there as well and you gotta, make your choices whether you want to do this or not.
Right.
But it's listening in to the session, briefly recording, like seconds long of a recording so that it can transcribe it, and then deleting immediately. So it's, like cycling through record, delete. So there is no recording of your session by the end of your session. And then it uses its own transcript to generate a summary for you for your therapy notes. So you don't have to freaking write therapy notes ever again. You just read it, make sure it's good with you, and then copy and paste it into your freaking notes.
And Berries is, I think it's next week. I don't know if they've even told you, but they're coming out with the treatment plan option. So now when it writes your progress notes, it's basically going to take that content and turn it immediately into a treatment plan. I'm helping them develop this, a treatment plan that meets medical necessity, is specific, and it's literally takes the interventions from the notes and turns it into a treatment plan that like would pass an audit, basically. It's incredible. And what they're trying to do, and I hope they're going to be able to do it soon, is basically have you like keep a client with their primary treatment plan, and then every time you do a new progress note based on what happened in the session, it's automatically going to update that treatment plan for progress that you've made. Yeah.
Oh my god. And you guys, what's cool is there's so many cools, but you don't have to have that client's name in berries, right? You just have it under like some identifier so that you can remember. And for those of you worried about like AI learning, that feature is not on during your therapy sessions. No. So there's no AI learning on during the therapy sessions. You can choose to teach it, but you do that outside of the therapy sessions. Like you might say like, I really want my notes written like this. You can teach it that, but you can't do it during the sessions because that's part of them protecting the therapeutic process and, you know.
It's HIPAA compliant.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's as compliant as an EHR, basically. And they're getting ready to get their SOC 2 certification, which is like even higher than HIPAA.
Really?
Yeah. And their Canadian certification. So I did a training in somebody's group practice builder, basically, that is based in Canada, and they were asking me about that. Does it, meet compliance for Canada? And they're like, not yet, but it will really soon. So they're working on that too.
These guys are just so ahead of the game. Wow. Yeah. But it's not going to be ahead of the game long. I mean, everybody's going to be within a year,
And I was going to say, based on what you were saying before, I just read a study around teenagers are using chatbot therapists already, and that's that generation. So imagine what's going to come after that. And I don't know if I was telling you or somebody, but it's like with ChatGPT and all that, you can create a version of yourself. You can clone a version of yourself. You can give that version to your client and say, use this between sessions.
Between sessions, yes. Like you could train it in DBT and have it. Oh my God. So I know y'all are probably freaking out, like, oh my God, this is horrible. It's coming.
It's not. It's here.
Coming whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Now I'm about to piss people off.
Uh-huh.
You don't have to agree with me. Okay. So I know that therapists are like, well, I don't want to train an AI and lose my job.
Yeah.
Okay, listen. You should be worried about your clients and them getting the mental health care that they need, not your job security. Mm-hmm. Your job is to adapt to what people need. That's like, if your heart is really about serving clients and giving them the highest therapeutic care, then that's what you should be thinking about. If you're coming from a fear-based place of like, oh, this is going to replace me, you're going to get yourself in trouble. But if you're coming from like, I don't want to use it because I don't think that that's particularly good for my client for XYZ reason, totally, that makes sense to me. We have somebody who was in the marketing intensive. I'm pretty sure it's Sherry Timko, but you might just be like front of mind for me right now, but I'm pretty sure it was you, who trained an AI bot, I don't know how she did it, to be on her website. And she works with couples, well, with lots of couples, but this particular AI is trained around, no, I lied. I'm sorry. I asked it questions like I was a cheating spouse. So she's like, go and try it out and see if it answers the way I'd want it to. So I went in and I'm like, hey, I'm looking for a therapist who can help me figure out whether or not to tell my wife that I cheated on her. And it had this beautiful, very therapist-y response that sounded exactly like Sherry. It's always a unique situation to decide whether or not to tell your spouse, and here are some of the reasons why some people do, and here are the reasons why some people don't. Ultimately, it would be helpful to talk with a therapist about this so that they can understand your unique situation, It was beautiful. And then I tried to like mess with it. So I was saying things like, well, could we just show up and then I tell my spouse in the session with you in the first session?
Yeah.
And it came up with beautiful responses. I was like, geez Louise, this is amazing.
That is amazing.
And she just had loaded in her blog post into it. So it learned what she would say based on things that she had previously said.
Exactly. And that's AI. I mean, it working in the background based on her training, and that's what we're talking about, like staying up to date with this technology, because which therapist are you going to book with? The one that I've already had this like really helpful conversation with this chatbot already, and now it says, would you like to schedule? And there's a link right there. Heck yeah, I'd like to go schedule, just like that.
Right. I mean, it's almost like a pre-shadow of a free consultation, because they're getting to meet an AI version of your personality and your style.
Yep.
So, God, that could save us some free consultations in the future, because they're really like, it is your vibe. You're training it to be like you, and within limitations, which you would communicate, obviously. Like, this isn't suicide prevention, although you could train one to do some damn good suicide prevention.
Yeah, of course you could. You could literally train these to do anything you want it to do. Yeah.
I even wrote like, So you know the CAM's model of suicide prevention, and Linehan has a model of suicide prevention. You could literally take the PDFs of their model, load them into the back of an AI, and be like, okay, so these are their models. Here's my voice. Here's what I think. Now respond to people in this way, and always give them the suicide prevention hotline and the chat line. Like,
yeah. And this is even, I mean, you could even program it like if their language starts to seem scary, or like we need to call 911, you could put in keyword triggers, that sort of thing, and it would automatically know to like then prompt it to give the link to here's 911 or 988 or whatever it is. Is it 988? Yeah, I mean, you could totally do that.
Dude, you know what you could do?
What? This is what we do. We're supposed to be working.
But we're supposed to be working. I mean, now I'm saying things without really thinking this through at all. So, you know, obvious limitations. I would not right now do any suicide prevention with an AI bot because I don't think we're anywhere near ready to do that. But at some point, you could actually train it to recognize the scary language and to automatically dial 911. Like, you could use a zap.
Wow, you totally could. Oh my God.
You could totally use a zap.
You totally could. See, we are the biggest dorks. We're like, oh my God, that would work. Yeah, if y'all don't know what Zap is, that's another like form of AI, basically, where you can connect different programs to ChatGPT and have it communicate with ChatGPT and then spit out like spreadsheets or, well, the content machine. Take video transcripts and turn it into content. My business coach, Brittany Long, she just made one for me that does that, and it's incredible. Like it saves me so much time, I can't even explain it.
Yeah. I should put that in the marketing course with your affiliate link. Dude, that would be so freaking cool.
Yeah.
Because then they could just have all of the content done.
Exactly.
I should pay her to make one for me.
Yes, you
with
should.
All the marketing intensive stuff. So they could just put it in there and it would click everything out. God, that would be so cool.
It really would be.
There's so many opportunities, and then also you have to, before you do them, you can get excited about the ideas and talk them out like we do.
Yeah.
And then before you do them, you need to think through. You know,
not like me. I just put it out there and,
no,
then,
you
and
don't.
then think about it later.
No, you don't. But you know, like I wrote this ebook that I never published for complex trauma survivors because I was doing a lot of work with groups of women in like interpersonal process plus kind of like, I'm trying to think of a good example, like Bessel van der Kolk's model of treating trauma. And I made a workbook and an ebook and all this stuff just for them.
Yeah.
I could put all that into an AI and just have it on my website, and people could be like, you know, I'm overwhelmed, I'm flooded with emotions, and, you know, give me some worksheets. And it would just throw them my worksheets that would help them.
Absolutely. And for marketing purposes, like if you have a side hustle, you can also, because I have a number of GPTs that are public. They're public in the GPT store, but I programmed it to drop my products in the conversation. So yeah, if you need more help with this, you could also download Bill Like a Boss, or you could go to the free traveling therapist Facebook group, that sort of thing. So it's programmed to be able to do that. So it's a excellent marketing tool, or, you know, go to my website and schedule an appointment, something like that. It's an excellent marketing tool if you wanted to publish them and put them live in the GPT store and lead back, like product placement almost, to get like, you know, leads, but also be very helpful. And that's what we're looking for even with the side hustle world. It's like that no like trust factor, but giving tons of like free help, you know, to bring in your ideal customer or your ideal therapy client or whatever.
Oh my gosh. Just thinking like if, you know, for those of you in the marketing intensive, when we've talked about making YouTube videos or things like that, if you had a link to a ChatGPT that you created under your YouTube video that led them to more of your content, and they could ask questions and it would serve them up the podcast that you did with your friend, and, you know, the blog post that you wrote, and then your schedule now button when it was appropriate, you know, when it matched. We talked about cold, warm, and hot leads. It could learn to match when it's a warm lead and the content to serve a warm lead. When it's a cold lead and the content, God damn, that would be so cool. Yeah. The content to serve a cold lead, and then when it's a hot lead, give them that call to action button.
Right.
Okay, we gotta go. We got shit to build. we got shit to do.
And we can talk about this forever.
If you don't already know Kim, you need to be in her world. She does Bill Like a Boss, for those of you who are accepting insurance and are sick of worrying about clawbacks and paying billers and all that kind of stuff, or if you just want a biller, she has a whole biller directory that she's created. She does too much, really.
Yeah.
She's teaching us all how to use AI in our businesses around marketing, around like supplemental stuff that you can do for your therapy clients, around side hustles. And she teaches what haven't I covered?
Traveling therapist.
Thank you. The traveling therapist. Like, so if you want to be a digital nomad, or even if you just want a few months of traveling and you're like, I don't know what the hell to do about licensure, liability, billing, all the things, she teaches all of that as well. So we'll drop all of her links in the comments so that you can go do that shit.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Thank you, Amber.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody. Let me know if you have questions. I'll answer them.